Hello and welcome everyone to the Big Knick Energy Podcast, our first episode of the season. We were originally going to do a little rehearsal episode trial run for our first episode, but then the news about Mitch's injury being worse than originally anticipated happened this week. So we said, hey, let's record a real one, and if we like it, we'll go live. So if you're seeing this, it means we're happy with the result. If you're not seeing or listening to this, it means we didn't put it out. My name is John Kolnoski. I'm a lifelong Knicks fan, 38 years old, living in Los Angeles, born and raised in Jersey, lived in New York for a decade before moving out here a few years back. And I will throw it to my Big Knick Energy Podcast co-host, Marky. Take it away.
Yeah, hello. My name is Marky Capicato. I, too, am a lifelong Knicks fan, also of the age of 38 years old. Spent my entire life living in New York State, in various parts of the state, whether it was the city or upstate. And now I'm residing in Maryland, of all places, over the past 6 months. This is a new podcast. I'm excited to talk Knicks with my best Knicks buddy. We've been, I'd say we really blossomed as Knicks friends since the pandemic. Even though we've always known each other to be Knicks, we've been friends forever. And the pandemic kind of forced us to be like, yeah, we got to talk. And from coast to coast. So.
Yeah, we don't have to dive too deep into ourselves just yet, but for a little backstory, that's very valid. During the pandemic, the Knicks are starting to get good again during that 2020-2021 season. And you started texting me, and we just kept going from there. And if you want to know how deep our Knicks bromance goes, I actually attended the infamous Game 6 in Philadelphia last season to see the Knicks win that first-round matchup.
Oh, yeah.
And my ticket was paid for by none other than the man on the other side of this microphone. So yeah,
couldn't go.
The Knicks bromance runs deep, and now we're taking it to your headphones or YouTube machine to a podcast player near you. And here we are.
We're here.
So, as I mentioned, we were planning on doing our first official episode next week, and we have plans for that then. But since we're going to jump right into it, let's talk about Mitch and the Knicks center situation, or as I'm calling it right now, the Mitchuation. We found out Mitch will be out until December or January, and we're in a bit of a rut. Not a rut. I'm struggling with my words right now because this is the first time we're doing this.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I don't know what it is with Mitch, and every time he's injured or the media construes something where I don't know if you follow Mitch on Instagram or any of his socials, but he always posts these cryptic things like, y'all don't know the full story will reveal itself, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, God. It's the same thing every time. And, like, I feel for Mitch because he's our longest tenured Knick. You know what I mean? Like, and he seemingly has been on the trade block since he got here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I feel for him in that regard. But, like, his cryptic tweets and Instagram stuff, I'm like, dude, just stop. Just stop. You're going to retire, Knick. Let's get this over
if you're going to tweet cryptically like LeBron, you got to be like closer to as good as LeBron.
True.
But yeah, no, I mean, it's pretty clear that the Knicks were trying to trade him as a way to keep Hartenstein. We don't have to rehash Hartenstein, as all Knicks fans spent all summer doing. But obviously he went to Oklahoma City in the offseason. So the Knicks were supposed to be even more reliant on Mitch, and now he's out for the first 2 to 3 months. And it does feel like he's kind of always hurt. I've been saying since last season that if the opportunity presented itself to trade Mitch, we should. But I think all the other NBA teams are onto that as well.
Yeah, no, no scout or GM is like blindly like, oh, he's healthy. Yeah, he doesn't get hurt every season.
Indeed.
But Mitch, it's just a matter of well, shoot, I forgot what I was just going to say. Mitch, I don't know. He when he's on the court, he is awesome. You know, there's no denying that he is such a defensive presence. And I do wish that we did get him involved more in the offense with like easy lobs, easy just post up opportunities for the guy. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with this injury announcement. Like, did the Knicks know this all along, that we were going to start the season with him not being available until December, possibly? You know, like, if so, like, what the hell were we doing? That it's like we didn't make the right offer to again, I don't want to get down the Hartenstein train. But what were they doing?
Yeah, I have a feeling communication between Mitch's camp and the team is frayed right now.
Yeah.
To the point of his cryptic tweets and being emo, and now adding on to it that he was clearly trying to be. They were clearly trying to trade him the last few months. My guess is he hasn't been as forthcoming with information as would be typical in a more positive relationship between team and player. So maybe they're just finding out about it themselves now, which is real unfortunate. I know everyone talks about Randall and the team's chemistry, but I think if you really want to get into it, Mitch and the team's chemistry might be a bigger quandary as the season progresses.
I agree with you 100% because again, how many times can this go on where it's like talks of trades, Mitch is hurt, he's like, I'm always going to be here, I'm sorry to do a half-assed impersonation, but, it always seems like even during the season, like even when Mitch is healthy playing, he's always like, again, not to go super analyze his social media accounts, but it always looks like he's back home in Louisiana. He's not posting videos of the team. Whereas even obviously there's the Nova crew, but even Julius is a part of that. And Precious is a part of that. Those guys all seem like they're a part of the team, but Mitch just seems like, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Gone are the days of Mitch's block party. I wish he'd bring it back.
Dude, those are so good.
Although I don't know if content wars on. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. You keep going.
I was just going to say, I don't know if content wars on the team would be a good thing between the roommates pod and Mitch's block party.
No.
Probably just add to more potential drama.
Sure.
But I think that's enough of Mitch. We're obviously joining this conversation a few days late, so I think everybody's kind of rehashed it. But we decided to play a little game for this here episode. We're each coming with 3 trade targets that the Knicks could go after to bulk up the center position in the aftermath of this injury. 1 trade target is meant to be realistic and someone we think the Knicks could and should go get. 1 is a pipe dream, probably can't happen, but man, it would be awesome if it could. And 1 is a wild card. Maybe you want to introduce some chaos into the locker room. Maybe you think you have an idea that nobody's talking about. It's wild for a reason. Get that Charlie from Sunny wild card action going.
Do you want to start or should I go for it? Or yeah.
Why don't we start with the realistic trade target and who we hope to go get? And sure, I'll go first. My realistic trade target, although it's only realistic if and when this team starts to collapse, which I think they will and quickly, is going after Nurkic from the Suns. Yusuf Nurkic, formerly of the Portland Trailblazers, traded to the Suns for DeAndre Ayton. It would be unfortunate to break up the Villanova Knicks, but I think you could get him for only moving Dante's contract as opposed to having to move Randall's or someone bigger, a bigger piece of the team. And, as much as Dante blossomed into such an incredible shooter and offensive player next year, obviously the Knicks do run deep and front court is a bigger issue. And if you can make that move without giving up Randall, I think it's when you have to go after. And we saw the Suns not live up to expectations last year. I think it's only going to be more of the same as Durant gets older and people realize more and more that Bradley Beal is just not a max player. Go Florida Gators.
Yeah.
So Nurkic is my realistic target. What do you think?
I do love that idea. I, though, would want to address the center position now while we desperately need it. I don't think any of us imagined that. I thought we would go small this year and have, Randall at times, Precious at times playing the 5, but not for the foreseeable future into December. And I think for us to address it now, the one thing that does make sense, and I love Nurkic, by the way. I think Nurkic would be huge, fit so well on this team. I just wouldn't want to wait till the trade deadline. And so my idea, and I know a lot of talking heads have talked about it because it does make sense, especially with money and cap situation, is going and getting Walker Kessler, but having to deal with Danny Ainge, are we going to have to pay out the nose to do such a thing? I think Kessler would be a great asset for us. I think he'd make a good, even when Mitch comes back, 1-2 punch kind of thing with like we had with Hartenstein. And I think he has 1 year left on his rookie deal, if I'm not mistaken. He does. So
I believe
I would
so,
like
yeah.
to do that now. But I don't know what the Jazz is thinking, what their asking price would be. I think I saw something where it would be McBride and a first. If there's one thing I think the Knicks did really well was lock up McBride early before he really took off and have him on this super team-friendly contract that it's an asset to trade. I think we've talked about this off air about Deuce being a real asset just in itself of him already being in trade rumors, not even just for a center position. But the Knicks have all Leon. Woo.
Hell yeah. Cool. No, I like that. I mean, yeah, obviously a lot of people are talking about Kessler. I think he'd be an awesome fit. To your point, with Ainge, we'd have to give up a lot. But to your point, Deuce is a very tradable contract. And with Tyler Kolek, that Deuce backcourt rotation is a little bit more expendable. If Kolek is as good as everybody thinks he's going to be, and you can come in and run the show as Brunson's backup, especially when you got Hart and you got Bridges and you got OG. There's a lot of wings and backcourt ball handlers to go around, so that might be the move. I don't know what draft capital they really have left after the Bridges trade, since the Nets own every pick from now until forever. But yeah, no, that would be a good one to go after. Do you want to keep it?
You got to hit on those picks, though. So
you got to hit on the picks, and we'll see if the Nets can. You want to keep us rolling and keep first one with this one? We'll do a little snake action and give us your pipe dream.
So my pipe dream, I kind of went a little. My pipe dream is that Jericho Sims takes the next step and actually shows that he's not just a freak of an athlete, that he has confidence. I know we've seen videos of him working out all off season, shooting threes, being more assertive. I just want him. If we could get that out of Jericho Sims, who I think we all can agree, is literally a freak. There's the Greek freak, and then there's Walls of Jericho Sims freak. Let's go. If this kid can actually make the leap and be confident and have a basketball IQ, to me, we already got the guy. If that can happen, and that's my pipe dream. I didn't go free agent, didn't go.
I like the zag
trade.
I like the zag. Here's my question to you regarding Jericho Sims. Right now, you are Tom Thibodeau, and your job is to figure out a way after 3 years to get Jericho Sims' basketball IQ up. What are you doing to him in training camp to make him to get him more aware after a few years of great physical development, but sometimes being played off the court because of his situational decision making?
Bro, I'm not a coach. That's why I'm on a podcast. I don't know. Tibbs should know. I leave that to Tibbs. I don't know what goes on in practice.
I'm not going to lie. I was kind of hoping to get your inner Bobby Knight out and see what controversial things you might say.
Hey, if we ever do a live stream during a Knicks game we lose, you might see that TV behind me get a chair through it. So
that would be interesting. I think that would help performance. I'm not going to lie.
For the pod.
For the pod.
What about you, though? What was your pipe dream?
So my pipe dream, and I haven't seen too many people talk about this, but it's further complicated by the fact that the New Orleans Pelicans are also very much in the market for a center. They're going to be a contender this year. Zion, I don't know if you've seen him, but he's looking svelte as hell, and possibly thinner and more in shape than Duke Zion, which could be dangerous, which means the Pelicans could be really, really good, and they're probably going to be the Knicks' chief competition for a center. It's doubly complicated because the team this center is on is a Knicks pseudo Eastern Conference foe or rival, played him in the playoffs 2 seasons ago. And I think the Pelicans match up as a better trade partner for this particular team. But it would be my pipe dream. Also, a little further knife twist to our dear friends, the Brooklyn Nets. But it would be fun to go to the Cavs and go get Jared Allen. I think he would be a great fit on this team. That would probably require Randall's to be dealt. Which would be unfortunate. But to get an all-star level center like Jared Allen, who can defend, who can run the pick and roll, who's become redundant in Cleveland now that Evan Mobley's less of a stretch four like they might have originally thought, and more clearly a defensive-minded five, maybe a stretch five, but it's clear that he's more of a five, and him and Jared Allen, they were struggling to play those two together last year. So while I do think Jared Allen is more likely dealt to the Pelicans, it would be my pipe dream that Randall and whatever other capital would be needed. Maybe that's Deuce, maybe that's picks, maybe that's something else I'm not thinking of. But bring Jared Allen back to New York City, this time for the good New York City team, and getting him in the Knicks orange and blue would be a hell of a development for this team.
You mean New Jersey's team? So I know you're from Jersey.
Someday we'll get into the New Jersey of it all and how I have more Nets cred than most Nets fans do, even though I'm a Knicks fan. But that day is not today.
Not today. I love that. I've always thought too, like just watch whenever we played against Jared Allen, I'm like, damn, I was like, this dude looks like he'd be a Tibbs guy. You know, I can't really quantify that necessarily, but he's got that hustle, that effort, you know, that's all the things that I believe Tibbs looks for in a player. Obviously talent. You know, I wouldn't hate that. But again, you know, who is Cleveland more willing to deal with? You know, it's kind of, I don't think us, you know, I think Pels probably have more to offer, and we're there's a New York tax, you know, that goes with not even just the Knicks, but like you could go across all 5 major sports in the U.S. But you know, and I don't think it's that far fetched though.
They just paid that tax to the Nets for Bridges with all those
for sure
picks. Let's see if they have enough to do with the Cavs, or if they could convince the Cavs to deal in the Eastern Conference, knowing they might face Jared Allen down the road. But I do think Randall would be an interesting fit on that Cavs team with Donovan Mitchell, with Mobley, with Darius Garland. So
that would be an interesting fit. Good thing we're not doing a Cavs podcast, though.
No, we're not, and it should be known. We haven't stated this. I am very much in the keep Randall in New York camp. I love Julius Randle. I think he was playing a lot better for this team than most people remember last year, and I'm real excited to see him back on the court, the orange and blue this season.
Me too.
But we'll save our Randall takes for next week. We have something fun up. We're going to do a little intro to the season pod next week, and we have a little fun twist on it that speaks to Marky and I's interests. And that'll be fun when we preview kind of the whole team in the upcoming season. We have one left to go, and that is our wild card pick. I will take the lead on this one if you don't mind. There have been, and I'm going total chaos. I'm going a lot of chaos for a lot of reasons.
Mine's chaotic too, so let's see this.
It would be funny if we have the same chaotic pick. There have been a lot of rumors about Cat to the Knicks over the last few years. He's from Jersey, bring him home to the East Coast. Maybe he's expendable in Minnesota as Ant-Man takes over there. And I realized that Minnesota would probably have to eat a lot of crow to make this move. But instead of getting Cat from the Timberwolves, let's go get Rudy Gobert.
Get the Frenchman. That wasn't mine, by the way.
Everyone hates Rudy Gobert, so let's bring him to New York to piss off everybody else.
He basically started COVID in the NBA.
He did basically start COVID. That probably won't go over well in New York. However, one, he'd be incredible on defense for the first 3.5 quarters of the game. Just a complete game changer. I'd love to see what Brunson and him can do on the pick and roll. And then, this would take Randall to make the deal complete. But, there's a lot of talk over the Knicks might be too deep. And, who's going to finish games? How's that going to deal with the egos in the locker room? Is everybody going to get their minutes? Here's the thing when you go get Rudy Gobert is you don't have to worry about him finishing games. He can't stay on the court when the fouls start coming because he can't hit those free throws. So that clears the way for everybody else on the Knicks to finish games. You have your closing 5 of Brunson, Hart, OG, Bridges, and Brunson, Hart, OG, Bridges, and Devo to ice games down the stretch. Have OG guard the 5, keep Gobert on the bench to not clink free throws, and let's get some French chaos, some French cooking in the Big Apple.
Love it. Oui. I love it. It's oui. He'll be the first Frenchman since Frank.
To be clear, I would hate it if the Knicks dealt Randall for Gobert, but if we're going for wild card chaos, and hey, why the hell not? Let's bring in one of the most polarizing players whom all NBA players hate.
You know what? I honestly, before, I don't know when exactly Gobert became the enemy. You know what I mean? Like a dislike player in the NBA. Can't really. I mean, you want to say like during COVID when
no,
it
was before that. It was before that because it was like, right? Of course, it's Rudy Gobert who does this. I think when he won his first defensive player of the year.
The French hate Americans, so like this is all checks.
Yep, we're gonna get canceled first episode.
Bonjour, motherfucker. That was not my wild card at all. I actually came down to 2 wild cards for me.
Oh, do tell.
Oui, parlez-vous français?
Tell us the one you ended on, and then tell us who your backup was.
Mine kind of is foreign. It's an expat, and I've always kind of wondered. Like he's got juice in the tank. He's not that old. He seems to keep his body in great shape. I almost think he's been blackballed out of the league. I hear he's been playing in, I want to say Taiwan the last couple of years. What's Dwight Howard doing?
Ooh, controversial. Very, very controversial.
Very controversial.
Very, very controversial.
You don't get to trade shit for him. And would he play for the vet minimum? You bet his ass he would.
Probably would. Lots of candy in New York City at all hours of the night. Although that's concerning. I would say, New York City is welcoming of all lifestyles, so that would probably be helpful for him.
Exactly. If any city would embrace him, I think, and we're talking about like the text that leaked between him and a trans woman, that got blown out of proportion. I don't give a shit.
Nor do I.
It seemed like it blew over too. Like it wasn't a big thing, but
I think there's still a lawsuit going on, so I think it's still kind of a big thing.
Never mind that.
Yeah, I think I read an update about it recently. I think that's still ongoing, but I could be wrong there as well.
Yeah, because I didn't think there was a lawsuit about any of that. I just thought it was like he's into certain things, and that was it. Okay then.
I dig it. No, I like it.
Boogie Cousins.
That's where I thought you were going at first. I thought you were going with Boogie at first.
It was either one. I was like, but like Dwight, I just feel like Dwight, like he was a freak of nature. Like you think of him like back when he played in Orlando, like dude was a consistent top 5 player in the league as a center. You know?
Yeah. I mean, that Orlando team, that was a long 13 years ago now. But that Orlando, maybe 14 years ago, but that Orlando team, it was him and shooters, and they went all the way to the NBA championship. They beat LeBron. Man. I'm pretty sure they beat LeBron to get there. So, yeah.
I think so. Dude, I just looked it up. Guess how old Dwight Howard is?
38.
38.
Well, he should be our third man in the chair on this podcast.
Dude, if he's not going to join the Knicks.
Yeah.
Get Dwight up in here.
The 38 all around Big Knick Energy Pod. That'll be us. There we
go. That's what we got to call it.
I will say I tried really hard to make a Wake Forest alumni fit into one of these 3. I was looking at you, James Johnson. I was looking at you, John Collins. But at 6'7" and 6'9" respectively. Even though James Johnson could probably kick anyone in the NBA's ass, the black belt and MMA fighter.
I did not know that.
Yes, he is big time. But I didn't think any of them were really big enough to be a true center. They're more 4s, although I'd want them on my team any day of the week for sure.
What's your stance? I know I'm going kind of out of order here, and we've already went through things, but there was one name that sorry to cut off your Wake Forest thing. Audience, one thing you will realize, this man is Wake Forest alum, and he will try to fit Wake Forest shit into anything. I don't watch college much. I watch college like most of America. I watch March Madness. That's it. Being from the Northeast, there's not a lot of teams to root for. Rutgers.
Who are you?
St. John's hasn't been shit. I don't know. But Isaiah Stewart, I've heard his name mentioned a lot. And to me, I don't think he brings that size that, I don't know. What's your take on him? Because I've just thought, like,
Yeah, I mean, he's another 6'8", I think, big man who plays bigger than his size. Some of that it's like, OG can guard the 5. You mentioned Sims. Like, if you're going to get an Isaiah Stewart type, I mean, we haven't even mentioned Precious once on this pod, and the Knicks are definitely going to be looking to him to put some of those minutes in there. If you're going to get an Isaiah Stewart, I don't see how that's any different than a Precious, than a Sims. It's all kind of, guys that offer some things and take a lot of other things off the table. So I don't know if he adds as much as, as would be helpful there. I guess to some point more bodies would be helpful. But yeah.
Yeah, I agree. He doesn't fill the void of losing Mitch.
No, he would not. If you're going to make a move, you got to make someone that can play 30 minutes a game, 25, 30 minutes a game, at least at center, not someone who's maybe more of a 15, 20-minute player that you're trying to get more out of. The Knicks already have a few of those on the roster.
Agreed.
Cool.
Man, that was a fun podcast.
Yeah, this has been fun. This is a good first one. I think we're going to wrap it up from there, unless there's anything else you want to say about the Knicks center position, Marky.
No.
Well,
no. If you want to go real out there.
Let's hear it.
Fountain of Youth, Patrick Ewing, worshiping the devil, selling your firstborn, hell freezing over, praying at an altar.
Okay, that's some like real out there stuff. I mean,
yeah. And then Prime, you put Patrick in like this little portal thing out in the woods.
Okay.
Pray and like do hymns. We just get a bunch of like crazy motherfuckers that hang outside of MSG after games, and Patrick steps out. And he's 28 years old. He's got wristbands as thick as calzones on. He's ready to ball.
Patrick, short flip.
I don't know where I was going with that.
No, that's fair. I mean, I will say this, and I know you know this, and you're not happy with me for it. I'm currently rewatching the legendary television show Lost, and I'm only on season 2.
You're wasting your time.
I'm only on season 2. Spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't watched Lost yet. But like the time travel stuff hasn't started happening. I can watch it with a closer eye this time around to see if I can pick up any tips to send Patrick Ewing back to the past and get him rejuvenated. I don't think it'll work. But maybe Dr. Jack Shepard knows the way.
No, John Locke knows.
Locke never does. Locke never does.
Jack's
who knew? You know who knew? Mr. Echo knew. But
dude, that was my favorite character of all time.
I think he was everybody's favorite character of all time. He's like the Beatles of Lost.
Echo.
He hit hard and then left before anyone could get annoyed with him.
Do you know the story behind that? And I'm sorry to the podcast listeners. Do you know why?
Let's talk about this off air. I don't think anybody wants to actually listen to let's talk about Mr. Echo.
All right. There's at least a couple crossover Nick Lost fans listening that
okay.
Shut this
off.
I
mean, the actor wanted off the show. That's fair.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap it. Let me go back and wrap it out. I'll give a clean outro in case we end up cutting out the Lost tangent there. That was probably pretty unnecessary for most of our listeners, or maybe we'll leave it in. Who knows? We're trying to keep these episodes relatively short for you, our listeners, or hopeful listeners, as it were. We know everybody has a lot of We know everybody has a lot of podcasts in their rotation these days, and we know there's a lot of Knicks podcasts out there. Maybe you listen to a bunch of them. So we're not trying to add another 2-hour podcast to your rotation. Our goal is to keep these episodes 30 minutes coming to you every week. Once we start interviewing guests, we'll probably spin those out as their own episodes on other days of the week as they come. But we're excited to talk Knicks with you and everyone at home. And we hope you'll ride along with us this season as we do so. Marky, do you have any parting words for our audience?
Let's go Knicks.
Let's go Knicks, baby.
Let's go.
Only a couple weeks away. This season's going to be a good one. Let's go. Thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next week as we keep this thing going. Have a good week, everybody.